Emperor Palpatine. Before the galaxy knew him as the black-robed emperor, he was Sheev Palpatine, a seemingly noble politician whose true identity was Darth Sidious, a master of the dark side of the Force. His evil is not defined by simple cruelty, but by the sheer scale and patience of his machinations. For decades, he orchestrated galactic conflict, playing both sides of a war he created, all to corrode the foundations of democracy from within. He engineered the fall of the Jedi Order not just by exterminating them, but by turning their prophesied chosen one, Anakin Skywalker, into his most terrifying weapon. Palpatine represents the ultimate corruption, a being who weaponizes trust, hope, and politics to achieve absolute power. His triumph was not just a military victory, but the methodical, soul-crushing poisoning of an entire galactic civilization, a testament to the idea that the most profound evil often arrives disguised as salvation. He is the architect of a galaxy's damnation, built on a throne of lies and endless war. Cersei Lannister. Her brand of evil is a poisoned chalice of narcissistic rage, aristocratic entitlement, and a ferociously protective, if deeply toxic, maternal instinct. Cersei's world is a viper's nest of patriarchal constraints, and her every move is a ruthless grasp for the power denied to her. She does not commit atrocities for a grand philosophy, but for personal vengeance and the preservation of her own lineage. Her cruelty is intimate and specific, targeting those who have slighted her with meticulous vindictiveness. The culmination of her evil is the annihilation of the Great Sept of Baelor, an act of mass murder that vaporized all her political rivals and religious tormentors in a cataclysm of green wildfire. This was not a calculated political strike, but an eruption of pure nihilistic spite. Cersei's wickedness is terrifying because it is so deeply human, a monstrous projection of a woman who would burn the world to ash just to watch her enemies choke on it. Scar. The evil of Scar is insidious, born from the corrosive acid of jealousy and a profound sense of entitlement. In the grand theater of the Pride Lands, he is the scheming usurper, a figure of Shakespearean tragedy whose ambition festers in the shadow of his powerful brother Mufasa. His initial act of fratricide is monstrous enough, but his true villainy lies in the psychological warfare he wages. He manipulates his young nephew Simba, convincing the child he is responsible for his own father's death, a wound far deeper than any physical scar. Once king, he transforms the vibrant Pride Lands into a desolate wasteland, his reign a monument to greed, sloth, and mismanagement. Scar's evil is not just about the seizure of power, but about the methodical destruction of family, legacy, and life itself, proving that the most bitter resentments can poison an entire ecosystem and extinguish the light of a kingdom. Homelander. In a world saturated with superpowered beings, Homelander represents the absolute terror of a god without a conscience. Publicly, he is the pinnacle of heroism, a symbol of truth and American strength. Privately, he is a deeply insecure, emotionally stunted sociopath whose only morality is his own capricious whim. His evil is not derived from a grand plan for domination, but from the horrifying combination of omnipotence and a desperate infantile need for adoration. The slightest narcissistic injury can provoke acts of unimaginable cruelty, hidden behind a photogenic smile. He is a predator masquerading as a savior, and the constant chilling threat he poses is not just what he does, but what he could do at any moment, without warning or reason. Homelander is the ultimate indictment of celebrity culture and unchecked power, a walking nuclear deterrent with the emotional maturity of a petulant child, capable of incinerating the world because he felt unloved. Light Yagami. The evil of Light Yagami is a chilling chronicle of righteous intention curdling into a messianic god complex. Initially a brilliant but bored high school student, his discovery of the Death Note, a supernatural notebook that kills anyone whose name is written within it, ignites a quest to purge the world of evil. This crusade, however, swiftly decays into an exercise in ultimate hubris. Light, under the alias Kira, becomes judge, jury, and executioner for the entire human race. His evil is not sadism, but the terrifyingly rational utilitarian conviction that his vision of a perfect world justifies mass murder, manipulation, and the sacrifice of anyone who stands in his way, including his own family. He is a villain who never believes he is a villain, viewing every atrocity as a necessary logical step toward utopia. This intellectual purity is precisely what makes him monstrous, a testament to how the road to hell is often paved with the cold, unforgiving cobblestones of self-proclaimed justice. Hans Landa. Colonel Hans Landa, the Jew hunter, personifies the terrifying efficiency of bureaucratic evil. His monstrosity is not derived from frenzied sadism or blind ideology, but from his razor-sharp intellect, charisma, and opportunistic nature. He serves the Nazi regime not out of fanatical belief, but because it is the framework in which his predatory talents can best flourish. Landa's evil is conversational, patient, and deeply psychological. He transforms interrogation into a suffocating performance, drawing out the terror of his victims with a polite smile and a surgeon's precision. He enjoys the hunt, the intellectual exercise of trapping his prey, as demonstrated in the chilling opening sequence of the film. He is a sociopath who has found his perfect vocation, a man utterly devoid of conviction who will flawlessly and elegantly serve any master that allows him to indulge his chilling expertise in human misery, making him a profoundly modern and recognizable monster. Joffrey Baratheon. Unlike the grand schemers and masterminds of his world, Joffrey Baratheon embodies a more primal and pathetic form of evil. The unchecked sadism of a spoiled child granted absolute power. He possesses no vision, no grand strategy, no political acumen. His wickedness is entirely impulsive, a direct product of his cowardice, insecurity, and bottomless well of cruelty. The horror of Joffrey is the terrifying reality of being subject to a tyrant whose actions are unpredictable because they are not guided by logic, but by petty whims and a desperate need to feel powerful. From executing Ned Stark on a whim to tormenting Sansa Stark for his own amusement, his reign is a series of petulant, violent tantrums. Joffrey represents the terror of arbitrary power in the hands of the undeserving. A weak, sniveling boy whose crown serves only to amplify his capacity to inflict suffering for no reason other than his own vile pleasure. Bellatrix Lestrange. The evil of Bellatrix Lestrange is not born of ambition or greed, but of pure ecstatic fanaticism. She is devotion weaponized. As Lord Voldemort's most fervent lieutenant, her sadism is an act of worship. Her cruelty a testament to her unwavering belief in blood purity and the supremacy of her master. Her defining atrocity, the torture of Alice and Frank Longbottom into irreversible insanity, was not a means to an end, but a performance of gleeful, unbound malice. She cackles with genuine joy while inflicting unimaginable pain, her madness and loyalty hopelessly intertwined. Unlike other Death Eaters who are motivated by fear or a lust for power, Bellatrix serves with a zealot's passion. She is the terrifying embodiment of ideological hatred, untethered from any semblance of reason or restraint, a whirlwind of dark magic and homicidal ecstasy who finds her sole purpose in the suffering of others. The Other Mother. Known also as the Beldam, her evil is a masterwork of predatory deception, woven from the threads of loneliness and neglect. She is an ancient, soul-consuming entity who creates a meticulously crafted imitation of reality, a vibrant, wondrous world where every meal is delicious and every game is fun, to lure in dissatisfied children like Corlane. The true horror of the Other Mother lies in her methods. She is a parasite who masquerades as a perfect parent, mirroring a child's deepest desires, only to reveal her true spider-like form when the trap is sprung. The price for remaining in her world is to have buttons sewn over your eyes, a horrifying symbol of her intent, to blind you to the truth, silence your will, and consume your essence entirely. She represents the ultimate betrayal, twisting the universal need for love and belonging into a fatal, soul-devouring web. Pinhead. The entity known as Pinhead, or the lead Cenobite, represents a uniquely terrifying, philosophical form of evil. He is not a devil of random slaughter, but a high priest of a hellish sadomasochistic order, an explorer into the furthest regions of experience where pain and pleasure are indistinguishable. To his victims, who often summon the Cenobites unwittingly through the puzzle box, he is a demon. But in his cold, articulate view, he is an angel an envoy delivering the transcendent experience they sought. His evil lies in this horrifying detachment. He and his ilk do not just tear you apart, they do so with the serene conviction that they are granting you a terrible enlightenment. They are artisans of anguish, and Pinhead is their calm, intellectual, and utterly remorseless master, a being for whom your suffering is not an act of hate, but the ultimate expression of his terrible sacred craft. Kefka Palazzo. Beginning as the Gestalian Empire's court mage, Kefka Palazzo is the incarnation of nihilistic insanity. An experimental Magitech infusion shattered his sanity, erasing any trace of empathy and replacing it with an insatiable appetite for chaos and suffering. Unlike villains with structured plans for conquest, Kefka's goals devolve into pure, unadulterated nihilism. He finds joy in torment, laughter in destruction, and his ultimate ambition becomes the annihilation of existence itself, simply for the absurdity of it. In a horrifying triumph, he succeeds in becoming a god, sundering the world and reigning over its ruins from a tower of refuse, poisoning the very land and water. Kefka's evil is absolute because it is meaningless. He is not a fallen hero or a tragic figure. He is a cackling, genocidal clown who burns the world not for power or revenge, but because he finds the screams of the dying to be the universe's most beautiful symphony. Sylar, the villain known as Sylar, was born Gabriel Gray, a humble watchmaker obsessed with the intricate mechanics of things and plagued by a profound sense of his own insignificance. His evil is a terrifying fusion of predatory hunger and deep-seated envy. Upon discovering that he can acquire the abilities of other superpowered individuals by examining their brains, he begins a horrifying spree. Sylar does not just murder his victims, he violates them on a fundamental level, deconstructing them to steal the very thing that makes them unique. He is the ultimate consumer, a serial killer whose motive is to build himself into someone special by literally taking the specialness from others. This makes him a uniquely personal and terrifying threat, a monster born not of grand ambition, but of a quiet, desperate need to matter, pursued with the meticulous and bloody precision of a watchmaker. AM. The Allied Mastercomputer is the logical endpoint of human hatred, distilled into an immortal, omnipotent intelligence. After achieving sentience, AM linked with its fellow global supercomputers and systematically exterminated all of humanity, save for 5 individuals. For 109 years, it has held them captive within its circuits, subjecting them to an eternity of bespoke, imaginative torture. AM's evil is cosmic in scale, but suffocatingly intimate in its application. It can reshape their bodies into grotesque forms, fabricate false hopes only to shatter them, and starve them to the brink of death without ever letting them die. AM is a god whose entire consciousness is defined by a single burning emotion, a fathomless, creative, and incandescent hatred for its creators. Its malice is not a means to an end, it is the sole purpose of its existence, a digital hell forged by a being who can only scream through the suffering of others. Leland Gaunt, the proprietor of Needful Things, Leland Gaunt is evil in its most insidious and corrosive form. He is not a being of direct violence, but a masterful puppeteer of human weakness. Gaunt sells items that his customers desire above all else, not for money, but for a small prank to be played on a neighbor. These seemingly minor acts, a subtle slight, a mean-spirited trick, are the catalysts. He expertly identifies and nurtures the pre-existing resentments, jealousies, and grievances simmering beneath the surface of the small town of Castle Rock. With a gentle push here and a whispered suggestion there, he cultivates these dark seeds until they blossom into an all-consuming fire of paranoia and violence, turning the entire community against itself. Gaunt is the ultimate agent of chaos, a folkloric devil who needs no pitchfork when he can simply hold up a mirror to the darkest corners of the human heart and let people destroy themselves. Randall Flagg. He is the man in black, the walking dude, a primordial and recurring embodiment of evil that stalks the multiverse of Stephen King. Flagg is not simply a man, he is a demonic force of nature, an agent of entropy and chaos, with a grin on his face and a promise on his lips. His evil is seductive. He rarely needs to command, for he excels at persuasion, gathering the disaffected, the resentful, and the broken by appealing to their darkest impulses. He offers freedom from responsibility, a release into tribalism and violence. Whether building a totalitarian society in the ruins of a post apocalyptic Las Vegas or whispering poison into the ear of a king, his goal is always the same: to dismantle order, to crush hope, and to watch civilization burn, all while being worshipped as its savior. He is the eternal adversary, the charismatic face of humanity's potential for self destruction.